10 surprising things that can cause cancer. Cancer is a disease that occurs when abnormal cells divide and begin to destroy body tissues. It can affect nearly any part of the body and has the potential to be deadly. While there's no single cause of cancer, scientists have identified several risk factors that may increase your chances of developing it. So today we will talk about 10 surprising things that can cause cancer. Number 10, fried foods. French fries, fried potato chips, fried chicken, fried fish. All delicious but potentially dangerous if consumed too frequently. A recent study found that eating more fried foods increases your risk of cancer. The reason behind this is the formation of a chemical called acrylamide in the food when it is cooked at high temperatures. Acrylamide is classified as probably carcinogenic to humans by the International Agency for Research on Cancer. Studies have shown that consuming a lot of acrylamide can lead to an increased risk of certain cancers such as stomach cancer. This means that while enjoying a plate of fried food once in a while may not be a major concern, regularly consuming large amounts of fried foods could pose a serious health risk. Therefore, it is recommended to limit the intake of fried foods and opt for healthier cooking methods such as baking, grilling, or steaming. By doing so, you can reduce the risk of cancer and other health problems associated with consuming too many fried foods. Number 9. Processed meats. Processed meats like bacon, sausage, and deli meats are high in sodium nitrite, which is a preservative that gives processed meats their characteristic pink color and flavor. But did you know that sodium nitrite is also used in explosives? While the nitrite is generally recognized as safe for consumption in small amounts, studies have linked the consumption of processed meats to an increased risk of colon cancer. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that people who ate more processed meat had a higher risk of developing colorectal cancer than those who ate less. The World Health Organization's International Agency for Research on Cancer has classified processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen, meaning that there is sufficient evidence that eating processed meat causes cancer. But why does processed meat cause cancer? One theory is that the nitrates and nitrites in processed meat can form cancer-causing compounds in the body. Another theory is that the high salt content in processed meat can promote the growth of cancer cells. Whatever the reason, it is clear that eating too much processed meat can have serious consequences for your health. So if you're worried about your risk of cancer, you may want to cut back on the bacon and sausage. Number 8. Too much sugar. Cancer cells are notorious for their voracious appetite for sugar. In fact, tumors often develop the ability to capture and hoard sugar molecules, using them to fuel their growth and spread. But how does this happen? Well, one factor is the type of sugar molecule that cancer cells prefer. Unlike normal cells, which use glucose as their primary energy source, cancer cells are more partial to a different sugar molecule called fructose. This preference allows them to grow and thrive even in environments where glucose is scarce. Moreover, cancer cells are adept at finding ways to obtain the sugar they crave, even in the absence of glucose. They can tap into the body's own sugar stores or hijack the mechanisms that transport sugar throughout the body. This ability gives them a significant advantage over normal cells, allowing them to grow and multiply rapidly. And it's not just about feeding the cancer cells directly. Excess sugar in the body can also promote the growth of new blood vessels that supply tumors with the nutrients they need to grow. And it can also weaken the immune system, making it harder for the body to fight cancer cells. As research advances, we're learning more about the complex relationship between sugar and cancer. But one thing is clear: reducing sugar intake is an important step in preventing and fighting this disease. Number 7. Salt-preserved foods. Traditional salt-preserved foods like salted fish and pickled vegetables may seem like a healthy choice. But a new study has revealed a shocking link between these foods and an increased risk of stomach cancer. The research suggests that consuming these foods regularly can raise the chances of developing stomach cancer by almost 4 times. But what makes salt-preserved foods so dangerous? The answer lies in the preservation process itself. By soaking food in salt water, harmful bacteria and microorganisms are killed, extending the shelf life of the food. However, this process also creates a favorable environment for the growth of Helicobacter pylori, a type of bacteria that is known to cause stomach ulcers and increase the risk of stomach cancer. What's even more alarming is that the risk of stomach cancer increases with the amount of salt-preserved foods consumed. According to the study, people who ate 2 or more servings of salt-preserved foods per week were 3 times more likely to develop stomach cancer than those who ate 1 serving or less per month. The most concerning types of salt-preserved foods are salted fish and pickled vegetables, which were associated with the highest risk of stomach cancer. To protect yourself from the potential dangers of salt-preserved foods, it is recommended to consume them in moderation and ensure thorough cooking. By following these guidelines, you can enjoy the unique flavors of salt-preserved foods while minimizing the risk of stomach cancer. Number 6. Sugary drinks. Sugary drinks, such as fruit juices, soda, and energy drinks, are not only detrimental to your waistline, but also to your overall health, including an increased risk of cancer. A recent study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that consuming 1 or more sugary drinks per day is associated with a 26% higher risk of developing cancer. But why do sugary drinks increase the risk of cancer? For starters, they are loaded with fructose, a type of sugar that is metabolized differently from other sugars and is associated with a range of health problems, including obesity, insulin resistance, and fatty liver disease. Excessive fructose consumption has been linked to an increased production of uric acid in the body, which can promote inflammation and oxidative stress, contributing to the development of cancer. Moreover, sugary drinks often come in large sizes, making it easy to overconsume calories without realizing it. This can lead to weight gain and obesity, which are risk factors for various types of cancer. Sugary drinks also contribute to chronic inflammation in the body, which can promote the growth and spread of cancer cells. By reducing the consumption of sugary drinks, you can lower your risk of developing cancer and improve your overall health. Choosing healthier alternatives such as water, unsweetened tea, or coffee can help curb your sweet tooth while providing essential nutrients and antioxidants without the added sugar. Number 5. Canned foods with BPA. Bisphenol A, commonly known as BPA, is an industrial chemical used to make certain plastics and resins, including those used in the lining of metal products, such as food cans. BPA is used because it helps to prevent food and liquids from leaking through the seams of the packaging and makes the packaging more durable. Unfortunately, BPA has also been linked to a number of health concerns, including cancer. Studies have shown that exposure to high levels of BPA can lead to an increased risk of breast cancer, prostate cancer, and other types of cancer. The problem is that BPA is widely used in the manufacturing of canned foods, particularly those containing acidic ingredients such as tomatoes and fruits. When heated or exposed to sunlight, BPA can leach into the food, posing a risk to consumers. This is especially concerning for infants and young children who are more vulnerable to the harmful effects of BPA. Fortunately, there are steps that can be taken to minimize exposure to BPA. Choosing fresh or frozen foods whenever possible is a great way to avoid BPA altogether. Additionally, consumers can look for products that are labeled as BPA-free. By taking these precautions, individuals can reduce their risk of exposure to this potentially harmful chemical and support their overall health and well-being. Number 4. Refined carbs. Refined carbs are carbohydrates that have been stripped of their nutrients and fiber, leaving only the most basic sugar molecules. Foods like white rice, bread, and pasta are examples of refined carbs. These carbs don't contain any nutritional value, and they can wreak havoc on your body, especially your blood sugar levels. When you eat refined carbs, they get broken down into sugar molecules very quickly. This causes your blood sugar levels to spike, triggering your pancreas to release insulin to bring those levels back down. Over time, this constant spike in insulin can cause insulin resistance, a condition in which your body's cells become less responsive to insulin. Insulin resistance is a major risk factor for cancer because it leads to the activation of certain genes that promote cell growth and division. Cancer cells are notorious for their uncontrolled growth and division, so anything that promotes this process can potentially contribute to cancer development. Furthermore, high levels of insulin in the bloodstream can promote the growth of new blood vessels that supply tumors with nutrients, a process known as angiogenesis. By avoiding refined carbs and opting for complex carbohydrates that contain fiber and nutrients, you can keep your blood sugar levels stable and reduce your risk of cancer. Number 3. High-fat dairy. High-fat dairy products, such as whole milk, butter, and cheese, are a common part of many people's diets. However, recent studies have suggested that consuming these products may be associated with an increased risk of certain types of cancer. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that consuming high-fat dairy products was associated with an increased risk of postmenopausal breast cancer. Another study published in the International Journal of Cancer found that men who consumed high-fat dairy products had an increased risk of prostate cancer. The researchers believe that the high levels of saturated fat and hormones found in high-fat dairy products may play a role in the development of these cancers. Saturated fat has been shown to promote the growth of cancer cells, while hormones can interfere with the body's delicate hormonal balance, potentially leading to the development of cancer. However, it is important to note that not all dairy products are created equal. Low-fat and fat-free dairy products do not appear to have the same associations with cancer risk. In fact, some studies have suggested that consuming low-fat dairy products may actually be protective against certain types of cancer. As with any dietary recommendations, it is important to consult with a healthcare professional to determine what types and amounts of dairy products are safe and appropriate for individual diets. Number 2. Alcohol. Alcohol is a common substance that many people consume on a regular basis. However, what many people do not realize is that even small amounts of alcohol can have serious consequences, including increasing the risk of cancer. According to the American Cancer Society, consuming even small amounts of alcohol on a daily basis can increase the risk of developing breast, colon, liver, and stomach cancer. Alcohol is also associated with a higher risk of developing cancers of the head and neck, as well as cancers related to human papillomavirus, HPV. The risk of cancer increases with the amount of alcohol consumed, with heavy drinkers being at the highest risk. Despite these risks, many people continue to consume alcohol on a daily basis, either because they enjoy the taste or because they feel that it is a necessary part of their social lives. However, it is important to remember that the benefits of quitting alcohol far outweigh any perceived negatives. Not only will you be reducing your risk of cancer, but you will also be improving your overall health and well-being. Number 1. Artificial additives. Many processed foods contain artificial additives and colorings that are used to enhance their appearance, flavor, or texture. While these additives may be safe for most people in small doses, they have been linked to an increased risk of cancer. One commonly used additive is sodium nitrite, which is used to preserve meats and give them a pink color. Sodium nitrite has been classified as a Group 1 carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer, meaning that it is capable of causing cancer in humans. Another additive that has been linked to cancer is red dye 40, which is used to color a wide variety of processed foods, including candy, baked goods, and cereals. Studies have shown that red dye 40 can cause behavioral changes in children, as well as an increased risk of certain types of cancer. Other artificial colorings and additives that have been linked to an increased risk of cancer include yellow 5, yellow 6, blue 1, blue 2, and green 3. These additives are commonly found in processed foods such as chips, candy, and breakfast cereals. If you're concerned about the potential risks of artificial additives, it is best to read food labels carefully and avoid products that contain them. Choosing fresh, unprocessed foods whenever possible is also a great way to reduce your exposure to these additives. By taking these precautions, you can help to reduce your risk of cancer and improve your overall health and well-being.